You just saw his name pop up on your phone, didn't you? Your heart skipped a beat. You're already thinking of what to say back. But stop. Before you reply, let me tell you why your first instinct could ruin everything and how to take back control in this moment. Do you know that moment when your phone lights up and it's his name? Your stomach drops, your heart starts racing, and it feels like the air gets sucked out of the room for a second. It's been days, maybe even weeks. And here he is, sliding back into your inbox like nothing happened. You've been waiting for this, haven't you? You've replayed conversations in your head. You've wondered if he even cared. And now he's giving you the smallest breadcrumb of attention. And I know every part of you wants to grab onto it. Your fingers are probably itching to type back something funny, something warm, something that keeps the connection alive. But here's what no one tells you. This exact moment is where most people give away their power without even realizing it. When someone disappears and then randomly reappears, it creates an emotional spike. That little notification hits your brain like a dopamine rush, like a reward you didn't expect. And suddenly, all the waiting and frustration fades because you feel chosen again. But the reality is, what you do next is far more important than the text he just sent. That first instinct to respond immediately, to match his energy, to lean into the excitement. It's dangerous. Why? Because it keeps you stuck in a cycle where you're reacting to his behavior instead of deciding what you want. Think about it. If someone has been inconsistent, disappearing for long stretches, and only texting when it suits them, what does replying straight away teach them? It teaches them that no matter how little effort they put in, they'll still get access to you. It's like saying, it doesn't matter how you show up for me, I'll always be here waiting. That doesn't make them respect you more. It makes them comfortable with giving you less. This isn't about punishing anyone or playing games. It's about interrupting a pattern that doesn't serve you. Because if you've been waiting on their attention, they already hold the power in the dynamic. And replying instantly only cements it. You're essentially rewarding inconsistent behavior. You're saying, it's okay that you disappeared. You can vanish, come back whenever you feel like it, and I'll still be here ready to engage. And if you do that enough times, it stops being a connection and starts looking more like a habit. Their habit of reaching out when they're bored, lonely, or just want validation. Here's the hard truth. People value what they have to work for. They value what requires effort, thought, and intention. And if someone can ghost you for 2 weeks, shoot you a casual hey at midnight, and get a warm, enthusiastic reply, there's no reason for them to step up. Why would they change the pattern if it's already working in their favor? But when you pause, when you don't jump to respond right away, when you take time to actually consider if you want to re-engage, something shifts. It forces them to recognize your time and energy aren't free. It communicates without a single word that access to you isn't a given, it's a privilege. And for the ones who are serious about you, that pause will be a wake-up call. They'll realize they can't just drop breadcrumbs and expect you to follow. Now, let's be real for a second. This isn't easy. Every bone in your body will want to reply straight away. You'll want to convince yourself it's harmless, that you're just being polite, or that if you don't respond fast, you'll miss your chance to reconnect. But if the only way to keep someone in your life is to always be available on their terms, is that really a connection worth keeping? Or is it a one-sided game where you're constantly proving your value while they prove nothing? Taking a pause gives you clarity. It allows you to separate the emotional rush from your actual standards. Instead of reacting from a place of longing or excitement, you get to ask yourself, do I really want to reward this behavior? Does this person deserve my energy? Because your response isn't just a reply, It's a message about how you expect to be treated moving forward. And if you're afraid that not responding immediately will push them away, let me ask you this. If someone walks away because you didn't jump at their first text, were they ever truly invested, or were they only there for the instant validation you provided? Someone who is genuinely interested will be patient. They'll respect your pace. They'll understand that you're not sitting around waiting for their breadcrumbs. You have a life, you have self-respect, and you're not afraid to lose them if they can't meet you at your level. So the next time you see their name light up your screen and your heart skips a beat, remember this moment isn't about them. It's about you. It's about whether you're willing to break a pattern that has kept you feeling small. It's about whether you're ready to act from a place of strength instead of fear. Because every time you hold back from rewarding inconsistency, you send a louder message than any text ever could. Your value doesn't need to be proven in how quickly you respond. It's proven in how confidently you hold your standards when it matters most. You know what happens when you respond instantly to that text? You're telling them they can drop breadcrumbs of attention whenever they want and you'll come running. And that's a dangerous pattern because it teaches them that their inconsistency doesn't come with consequences. Think about it. If someone knows they can disappear for days, weeks, or even longer and still get your warmth, your energy, and your time the second they send a hey, why would they ever feel the need to show up differently? You're showing them that you're available on their terms, not yours. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about punishing someone or playing games. This is about standards. This is about deciding what kind of behavior you're willing to allow in your life. When someone is inconsistent, when they ghost, breadcrumb, or show up only when it's convenient, it's not your job to reward that with your attention. Because every time you do, you reinforce the pattern. You teach them they don't need to try any harder. And whether you realize it or not, it chips away at your self-respect because you're settling for scraps when what you deserve is consistency, effort, and clarity. I've seen this play out so many times. You're waiting for them to wake up and realize how amazing you are. You're hoping that if you're kind, patient, and understanding enough, they'll eventually step up. But here's the truth. People don't step up when there's no reason to. If you're giving them the benefits of your presence without requiring consistent behavior, they have no motivation to change. Why would they? You've already shown them that you'll stay even when they give you the bare minimum. And I get it. It feels good to respond right away. It feels like connection. That ping of dopamine when you see their name appear on your phone can be addictive. But that hit of validation is short-lived, and every time you reward their inconsistency, you're investing in someone who may never invest back. You're pouring your energy into a person who's giving you just enough to keep you hooked, but not enough to build anything real. That's not love. That's not even interest. That's convenience on their part. So here's the shift. The next time they text you out of nowhere, I want you to pause. Don't respond right away. Don't even let yourself craft the perfect reply in your head. Just stop and ask yourself one question. If I reply now, am I reinforcing a behavior I don't actually want in my life? Because every interaction is teaching them how to treat you. Your silence can be more powerful than any clever response. It signals, you don't get to have access to me whenever you feel like it. My time and energy are valuable. You need to earn them. People respect what they have to work for. When you don't reward someone's inconsistency, you create space for them to decide whether they're willing to show up in the way you deserve. Some will step up, some won't. And as painful as that is to see, it's also liberating because it shows you where to stop pouring your energy. You'll stop wasting months or even years on someone who was never serious to begin with. The danger is that if you keep rewarding their random appearances, you start to normalize it. You convince yourself, this is just how relationships are. people are busy, at least they're reaching out. But deep down, you know it doesn't feel right. You know it leaves you anxious and second, guessing your worth. That's not a connection that builds you up. It's one that keeps you in limbo. And the only way out of that limbo is to break the cycle. So when the text comes in, take a breath, put the phone down. Don't make it about them. Make it about you, about protecting your peace, your self-respect, and your standards, about refusing to hand over your energy to someone who hasn't proven they deserve it. Because the second you stop rewarding their inconsistency, you send a message. I am not an option. I'm a priority. And if you can't see that, someone else will. And that's the moment the power shifts. You see, most people confuse creating space with playing games, but they couldn't be more different. When I tell you not to reply immediately, it's not about punishing him or making him chase you just for the thrill of it. It's about positioning yourself in a way that protects your value and sets the tone for how you want to be treated moving forward. Because here's the truth. The way you handle this moment tells him everything he needs to know about the kind of woman you are. When someone disappears for days or weeks and suddenly reappears with a casual, hey, or what's up, your knee-jerk reaction might be to grab your phone and fire back a reply. That's your emotions talking. That's the part of you that's been waiting, hoping, maybe even fantasizing about hearing from him again. But let me ask you something. What message does it send if you immediately make yourself available after he's been inconsistent? Whether you mean to or not, you're signaling that his behavior is acceptable, that he can come and go as he pleases and still get the best of you when it's convenient for him. And then I know it's tempting to justify it. You might think, well, maybe he's been busy. Maybe he needed time to think. Maybe he's reaching out because he realized how much he misses me. But here's the problem. Every time you excuse his inconsistency and reward it with your time and attention, you train him to believe he doesn't need to be better. He learns that you're always going to be there no matter how he shows up. And that's how you lose your power. This isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about creating enough space to evaluate whether you even want to re-engage. That pause isn't a punishment. It's your chance to breathe, to detach for a moment from the emotions swirling in your head. It's a moment of clarity where you can ask yourself, does this person deserve my energy, or am I just responding out of loneliness or fear of losing them? That question alone can shift everything, because when you don't respond immediately, something interesting happens. Instead of you sitting there anxiously waiting for his next message, he's the one who starts wondering. He's left to sit with his own actions, to think about why you didn't instantly jump back into his world. That silence creates a gap, and in that gap, he gets a chance to recognize that access to you isn't guaranteed. He realizes that if he wants your time, he's going to have to earn it. Here's the thing. People value what they have to work for. When someone knows they can disappear and still have you waiting on the other side, they stop putting in effort. But when they sense that you're not just sitting there waiting to be chosen, they either step up or they step out. And honestly, either outcome is a win for you, because the man who truly sees your worth won't risk losing you again. And the one who was never serious in the first place will fade away and save you from wasting another second on the wrong person. Remember, this isn't about playing games. Games are about trying to manipulate someone into liking you. What I'm talking about is protecting your peace and positioning yourself as someone whose time is precious. Because the reality is, if he's serious about you, a little space won't scare him off. It'll inspire him to come back with more intention and more effort. And if he's not serious, no amount of instant replies, no amount of giving, no amount of being available is going to change that. So when that text comes through and your first instinct is to reply straight away, stop for a moment. Don't let your emotions run the show. Take a breath and ask yourself, What do I really want from this person? Do I want a relationship where I'm chasing someone who only gives me breadcrumbs? Or do I want a connection with someone who shows up fully, consistently, and respects my value? Because the second option isn't possible if you keep training someone to believe they can have you without effort. You deserve more than being someone's convenience. You deserve to be with someone who shows up, who values your time, and who treats you like you're worth the world. Not just when it suits them, but all the time. And sometimes the only way to find out who that person is to give them the space to either rise to your level or fall away. So the next time his name pops up on your screen, remember, you don't have to rush. You don't have to prune anything. Let him wonder for a change. Let him feel what it's like not to have instant access to your energy. Because the woman who can pause before she responds is the woman who's in control of her life, her emotions, and her power. And in that pause is where everything shifts. Before you even think about replying, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself one very important question. Why am I replying? Is it because I genuinely have something to say? Or is it because I feel a wave of emotion, whether it's longing, hurt, or the desperate need for validation? This moment right here, the space between seeing their message and deciding what to do, is where most people give away all their power. Think about it. When you see their name light up your phone, what's the first thing you feel? Relief? Excitement? Maybe even anger because you've been waiting for this text for days or weeks. That rush of emotion can trick you into believing that responding right away will fix everything. But here's the truth. When you reply out of raw emotion, you hand them the steering wheel. You let them decide the pace, the tone, and the direction of this connection. It's so easy to confuse emotion with intention. Emotion is reactive. It's that spike of dopamine you get when someone finally gives you a breadcrumb of attention. But intention, that comes from a grounded place. Intention is about responding, not reacting. It's about asking yourself, does this person deserve my energy right now? Does this conversation serve me, or is it just soothing my anxiety for a moment? So many people respond to texts like this because they're trying to fill a void. They think, if I reply, maybe he'll come closer. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time he'll finally give me what I need. But responding out of longing almost always leads to disappointment, because it puts the other person in control of your emotional state. You're not answering because you're confident and clear about what you want. You're answering because you're afraid of losing the connection. Here's where the shift happens. When you choose to pause, even for a few hours, you interrupt that cycle. You give yourself time to breathe and check in with your own needs. You stop asking, what does he want from me? And you start asking, what do I want for myself? That's how you stop being reactive and start being intentional. When you reply out of calm intention, your entire energy changes. Instead of sounding desperate or overly eager, you come across as grounded and secure in yourself. That's attractive. That's magnetic. And it sets the tone for how this person will see you moving forward. If they're used to you jumping at every message they send, your pause will surprise them. It will make them question their assumptions about you, and that's a good thing. You're not being cold or manipulative. You're simply creating space to make sure you're showing up from a place of self-respect. Remember this, not every message deserves a response. And not every response needs to be immediate. When you take your time, you remind yourself that your life doesn't revolve around someone else's sporadic attention. You show them, and yourself, that your value isn't tied to whether or not they approve of you in this moment. So the next time your phone buzzes and it's him, I want you to catch yourself before your fingers start typing. Take a deep breath. Put your phone down. Ask yourself, am I about to respond because I genuinely want to connect? or because I'm hoping he'll make me feel better about something I'm feeling right now. That awareness changes everything. When you lead with intention instead of emotion, you protect your heart. You stop chasing temporary highs from inconsistent people and start holding out for someone who gives you the kind of steady, reliable love you deserve. That kind of connection doesn't require you to abandon your self-respect just to keep their attention. So pause. Don't rush. Don't let the weight of your emotions decide for you. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to make sure your response reflects the strong, self-assured person you're becoming, not the insecure, anxious version of you that's afraid of losing someone who was never truly showing up in the first place. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply wait. Let them sit in the silence. Let in that feel your power. And in that pause, take back your power. You know, one of the most underestimated tools in dating and in relationships in general is silence. And yet, it's the one thing most people are terrified to use. The moment a message comes through, especially from someone who's been distant, we feel this compulsion to break the silence, to fill the gap, to reassure them they still have a place in our lives. But here's what I want you to realize. Silence speaks louder than any perfectly crafted reply ever could. It forces someone to confront the reality of their own actions. It creates a space where they're no longer distracted by your energy, your availability, or your attention. And in that space, they have to sit with themselves. And that's where clarity happens. Think about it. When someone goes quiet on you, what's your first reaction? You wonder what happened, right? You replay moments, question yourself, and analyze every little detail to figure out why. That's the power of absence. It provokes thought. It creates a gap they want to close. Now, imagine flipping the script. Instead of being the one pacing and overthinking, you create a space where they're the one wondering if they've lost their place in your life, wondering why you're not replying instantly like you used to, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you've moved on. That's not about playing games. This isn't about manipulation. It's about self-respect. It's about resisting the pull to jump every time someone decides to toss a crumb of attention your way. When you hold your silence, you send an unmistakable message. I'm not sitting here waiting for you to validate me. I'm not available at your convenience. My life doesn't revolve around your unpredictability. Here's what happens when you stay quiet for a moment. They start asking themselves questions. Did I push her too far? Has she lost interest? Was I too casual? That silence creates contrast. When someone is used to you being the one to bridge every gap exuding, your stillness becomes deafening. And if they genuinely care, if there's real potential there, that silence often draws them forward. It makes them step up in a way they wouldn't if they felt they could have you whenever they wanted. But there's something else. That silence isn't just for them, it's for you too. In that space, you get to check in with yourself. You get to breathe. You get to ask, do I even want to engage with this person? Do their actions align with the kind of treatment I deserve? Or am I just reacting because I don't want to feel rejected? We underestimate how often we reply, not because we genuinely want to talk, but because we want to stop feeling the discomfort of not being chosen. Silence gives you clarity. It gives you the gift of perspective before you make a move you might regret. Now, let's be honest. Holding that silence isn't easy. Every part of you will want to break it. You'll want to send that casual, hey, or that witty reply to keep the connection alive. You'll tell yourself, if I wait too long, I might lose him. He might think I don't care. But here's the truth. If someone disappears after you take a moment to breathe, they were never invested enough in the first place. Someone who truly values you won't vanish just because you didn't jump at their first breadcrumb. If anything, they'll respect you more for having standards. Think of it like this. You're creating a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, And so does human behavior. When there's empty space, something has to fill it. If they value you, they'll fill it by showing up differently, more present, more consistent, more intentional. If they don't, that silence saved you months, maybe even years of wasted energy. And if you're worried about losing your chance, ask yourself, what kind of chance is it really, if it only exists because you were always the one keeping it alive? A healthy connection doesn't require you to be constantly performing CPR just to keep the heartbeat going. It breathes on its own because both people are showing up. So when that text comes in and you feel the urge to rush in and respond, just pause. Just pause. Let the silence do some of the work for you, because the truth is, silence can say everything you need to say without a single word. And the right person won't be scared off by your stillness. They'll be drawn in by it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Think about the moment when his name pops up on your phone after days, maybe even weeks of silence. Your first reaction is probably a mix of excitement, relief, and a little bit of validation. There's a voice in your head saying, "Finally, he's back." Maybe he realized